Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. This is the weekly chart of gold provided by netdandy.com. You can click on the link below. Now, I've drawn a couple of trend lines here. The first is one that corresponds to the major correction in the MACD that occurred in 2008. This is basically the financial crisis here. What's interesting is that it doesn't seem to be a very large blip on the chart, but back in the fall of 2008, gold actually bottomed and started to rally. And that's, of course, the safety play. Now, this correction here is actually larger, but you can see, nevertheless, that we have rising trend lines in these smackdowns. And you can see we're actually back to nearly 50% of that correction is already been repaired. Now, the other trend lines are the MACD, and you can see here that the move from here to here brought us to an all-time low in the MACD. We've seen the same thing now. We have a decreasing trend line here. You can see the distance between the blue line and the red line is very, very large. So the bounce has occurred already on the price. The bounce has not occurred on the MACD. So this tells me that a significant bottom is being formed, and this may be the largest bottom that we've ever seen in the gold market. Something like this. Now, if that's the case, then we're off to the races. I think, of course, silver is going to follow. But as we'll see when we look at Jim Willie, this appears to be a desperate gambit by the powers that be to try to maintain this corrupt system that they've built. And, of course, they have built a house of cards, a castle built on sand, because they've actually convinced themselves that they have the ability to change reality, when in fact they don't. Really, the only thing they have is the ability to lie, and ultimately their lie is going to be exposed. So let's look at the latest Jim Willie here. There's a lot, but I wanted to cover this gold market ambush. Before I do that, I want to make an apology. I had both of my sites hacked. Both the silver channel and the Bitcoin channel were hacked. There are people who lost some Bitcoins because of the Bitcoin stuff that was posted, and it was very difficult. I spent the entire day trying to get everything back. I'm going to have to go to complete two-factor authentication on everything I do, including all emails. That means whenever I check email or check the website or check anything else, I'm going to have to receive a text message on my cell phone. So that's the type of level of hacking that is going on. Now, I can't even share with you some of the incredible things that the hackers are doing right now, and you tell me who is behind the hackers. But just suffice it to say that from various sources that I've heard from, this definitely gives support to the Chris Duanes of the world, and I'm a big supporter of the Bitcoin, but nevertheless, something that involves computers is subject to being hacked. Not the Bitcoin itself, of course, but any accounts, including your bank account. And this experience has taught me that we are very close at any moment to having all of these digital accounts just simply go to zero, and there be an entire reset of the system. If people really knew the power that the hackers already have and the battles that the banks are doing behind the scenes, they would be absolutely speechless. But let's look at the Jim Willie comment here. Ambush of the gold market in mid-April reported as a massive sell-off. The gold market sell-off was as shocking an event as it was pathetic. It was a destructive an event as it was hilarious to observe. The bankers committed suicide on the global stage. Rather than permit a London or New York default, and don't be deceived, this is the power that is fighting for its life right now. It is the London, New York power. Gold market default, they committed a grand illegal act by selling $20 billion in gold through paper certificates in 2 days. The grand sale was executed without benefit of any metal changing hands, without promise of any metal changing hands, with full protection by the U.S. government for its criminal actions. The ambush attack did not net more than a handful of gold bars from margin calls, themselves mere paper entries. The consequence is vast and has brought huge changes to the entire monetary stage. A tremendous increase has been seen in gold demand from Turkey to India to Mexico to the United States to Japan to China to Thailand to Singapore. The corrupt bankers avoided a default, but they assured a more unavoidable future default by lighting a fire of global gold demand on the physical side with bars, coins, and jewelry. Gold contract defaults will spring up everywhere. Lately, even for the chairman of the CME, I don't know if you followed that story, but supposedly the chairman tried to take delivery and was denied. Group on his own contracts held, they exposed the paper gold sham based upon gold futures contracts. The most powerful consequence is that the banker syndicate has revealed the absent link between price discovery and gold delivery. They have therefore ruined the essence of the COMEX and the LBMA. These are now discredited organizations, and it's my belief that probably this year these will be bankrupt organizations. Gold market rendering it a perverse playground for criminals. It has no gold in inventory sufficient to handle the delivery demands. The COMEX will soon be totally ignored, its price considered a meaningless sideshow that only lacks criminal prosecution. So, excellent screed by Jim Willey. I encourage you to read the entire thing. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and it's just crazy what's going on, but we're starting to swirl down that spiral, and it's just going to accelerate. So let's go and answer a question here. This question is actually going to end up taking the rest of the update, but let's take this question from IOUHC19, Governments Lie. I'm assuming that that's a response to my last video about government lies. Brother John F., if you really believe the government lies, why is it that you can't see or are ignoring the most heinous lie of them all, 911? 911 was the worst disasters, one of the worst disasters to happen on American soil during our lifetime. On that day, about 3,000 of U.S. died, including 343 firefighters, 23 NYPD, 37 Port Authority officers. Since that time, we've had the Patriot Act, bank bailouts, TSA, National Defense Authorization Act, the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Predator drones killing innocent civilians, saber rattling about Iran and Syria, the housing bubble, companies like MF Global operating with impunity, plus gold and silver manipulation. A reinvestigation of 911 with full subpoena powers could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the official 911 version may have been bogus. If the official 911 version were debunked, war crimes tribunals would be the next logical step, and it goes on and on and on and on. So I'll read at the end here. With your analytical mind, and see if you might change your opinion on the biggest government lie. So I'm not really sure where he got his opinion about what my opinion is on 911, but Clearly it was not from anything I've said, but to just give you an insight into a lot of the people who are talking about 911, I will use the term newbies. These are people who are new to the conspiracy game, and it's actually been around a very, very long time, much longer than they can imagine. So let's go here to InfoWars. Of course, this is Alex Jones's site, and I don't support Alex Jones in everything he does. And some things I do, some things I don't. But this one's from Kurt Nimmo. You can go on the internet and find a million of these. This is a history of false flag attacks, state-sponsored terror. It starts with Nero, of course, blamed it on the Christians. You have the Spanish-American War and the sinking of the Maine. There's the sinking of the Lusitania. There's Hitler's burning of the Reichstag. This Gleiwitz incident, Lavon affair, Operation Northwoods. There's the Gulf of Tonkin, which was the opening of the Vietnam War. Is openly admitted by all government sources to be a false flag event, Operation Gladio, etc. So this is nothing new, and let me show you how small of a thing it is in the big picture. This is an article from R.J. Rummel. This actually goes back to 1994. So think about that. This was written in 1994. So if you think these things are new, then you're kidding yourself. They may be new to you, but they certainly are not new. Now this is the number, the total number he comes to. You can do your own studies, come to your own conclusions. I have no idea whether these are accurate or not. But his conclusion, 169 million people murdered by governments. So that's going to be more people murdered, more death caused by governments, their own governments, than any other single cause by a factor of 10 or even 100. And you can look at some of the things that are listed here. In the Soviet Union, they killed 61 million people. That's a number that's so large your mind can't even grasp it. With the Soviet Gulag state. The Communist Chinese killed 35 million people, including the famine caused by the communists there. The Nazis killed an estimated 20 million people, and we have the smaller ones here. Japan, 5 million murdered. The Khmer Rouge in Cambodia murdered 2 million people. In Turkey, nearly 2 million people. So it goes on and on and on and on. So I'm not really sure why people think that I don't believe that governments are behind all of this death and destruction. It's pretty clear from history that not only are governments behind the lies and the rigging of the markets, but governments are behind the deaths of countless innocent people. So that's a very sad thing, but it's a sad reality. A lot of people hope that there's going to be a different future on that. I don't really think so. But again, we're doing our best to try to educate people as to what has happened. Of course, you know the saying, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Hopefully we're not doomed to repeat some of these horrible periods of history that have been much worse than what we're looking at right now. So back to the gold chart, it's very clear that gold has put in a major bottom in my mind. Yes, it could go lower. We're at negative 54 on the MACD. We hit a positive 100 plus on the upside, and so but we're definitely quite a bit lower than the correction that we had in 2008. and that indicates to me that this rally will probably be the greatest rally we've ever seen. And once this turns up here, we're going to be looking at a massive rise. So for those of you who are very depressed and sad and worried about things like that, and it can get you upset and depressed and worried about things like that. So people have often asked me why I am not really impacted by things like that, and I'll just go ahead, for you people who aren't religious, you go ahead and tune out now, but I'll go ahead and read this to you. This is why I don't really worry about things like that. So this is from Luke 12. For there's nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which ye have spoken in the ear in closets shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I will forewarn you whom ye shall fear. Fear him which after he hath killed hath power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him. And by the way, that was spoken by the same one who has that power. So the same one who spoke these words is also going to make sure that whatever they have whispered in the ear, whatever they've covered up, whatever murders and treachery they've perpetrated throughout history, it will be open for all to see at some future point, and it's not going to be worth it. And we'll talk to you next time.